Hi, I'm Jeff Murr. I want to welcome you to Healthy Marriage Tips, where today I'm going to go ahead and talk about drama triangles. Um, Now, the story of drama triangles goes back to the days after World War II, and during that time, a lot of work was being done with alcoholics and their families in terms of trying to understand some of the dynamics that were going on. Now, one of the people that was highly involved with that was a fellow by the name of Eric Byrne. Now, I don't know how many of you remember that name, but yeah, he talked about the roles of parent, adult, and child, and how many times with conflict he looked at it in terms of there were mixed communications. Parents, let's take two spouses, a husband and wife, and the husband may do something childlike, bring out the mother in his wife, and she talks down to him, and he argues back, and it starts a whole series of conflicts. Well, apparently Stephen Cartman was a student of his, and he made some observations into what became known as the Cartman Triangle or the drama triangle. Because in watching how people do things, there are three different positions. If you think of it in terms of a triangle, there is a persecutor, a rescuer, and a victim. And like, for instance, the victim, help me, help me. The rescuer, let me help. And the persecutor, it's all your fault. And what happens is that when two people are not communicating directly, oftentimes they bring in a third party and they get caught up in these relationship games. I see it a lot of times with families with addiction, but I also see it where in situations where communication has often broke down, and they'll be alternating between those different positions. They become very fluid and switch off and on, and it gets a lot of action going and a lot of drama, but little gets resolved in those cases. And if you've been working with addicts for a time, you know that there's something called the self-serving crisis, because they go from crisis to crisis, and you generate a crisis because you can't go out and just drink for no reason at all. It's only when you have a crisis that you can drink and not feel guilty. And so a lot of these relationship games develop in those families to avoid dealing with things directly, and this way you can have the drama going. And it ends up triggering whatever it is that they were wanting to do, whether it be drink or go out and have an affair and so forth. And many times, in order to get you into the games, people are very convincing. They have hooks or ways to suck you into it, because a lot of times afterwards you'll be scratching yourself. How did I get stuck in the middle of it? Well, the people that do this, let me go ahead and start by pointing out, they often engage in these games on an unconscious level. It's not that they are maliciously saying, hey, I am going to go out there and get you sucked into this game. If they did that, they would probably fall into the category of being evil to go ahead and do things. Now, oftentimes what happens, they just want to avoid responsibility, and it's easier to go ahead and get caught up in game playing. One of the best books I have ever seen on game playing is Eric Byrne's Games Alcoholics Play. He goes into a description, breaks down a lot of these relationship games. But the theory of triangulation, Cartman went ahead and came up with the drama triangle, but people like Murray Bowen and a few others started addressing triangulation and the power of it within families to keep the dynamics going, keep things stirred up in my mind. And it's important when you see these triangles start to develop, you've got two choices. Either break the pattern of the cycle going on, or work at transforming the pathological roles into healthy roles. Some therapists have gone ahead and taken that route where the drama triangle still is going on, but rather than tearing people down and avoiding things, they try to take a creative solution to finding problems and finding solutions that were not readily visible before. But I needed to go ahead and cover this topic of triangulation because it is one of the things that interferes with husband and wife communication. It has a way of disrupting things. It keeps a lot of things stirred up, but doesn't get you anywhere. And some people, because we, brings out the parent in us or the mother in us, that we feel like we have to fix people, because some people are good at playing helpless. And then there are those that, because usually another person gets sucked in because they want to help one of the other people, and so they'll attack the third person. And then you have your drama triangle going. So become aware of the hooks that they use. It may be things that they say or do that make you feel like you have to jump in and do something right away. Because the action, once it gets started, it happens fast and furiously. And be aware, if you find yourself in those things, you may, almost like switching hats, almost like something out of a Three Stooges movie, that you go from being the person that's picking on things to being the person picked on to wanting someone to rescue you from that. So be aware of it. To consciously take some steps to break those patterns or transform them. I wanted to go ahead and provide this instruction so that you're at least aware of it and don't step into those minefields. And also to reassure you, you're not going crazy. There are forces at work behind the scenes that you need to be aware of so that you can avoid getting caught up in them. If you have any questions, concerns, feel free to leave them below. I'll be glad to get to them. I am glad that you tuned in. So until next time, this is Jeff Murrah wishing you best regards. Goodbye.